Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to take a look at 10 top teams for the Great League Remix Cup. This is usually a very fun cup because the top 20 Pokemon of the Great League for this season have been banned. That means that a lot of new Pokemon kind of have a little bit of play more now, but also 20 Pokemon never really covers the entire meta. So a few of them kinda got through there and still are very, very strong here. We're going to have here some Pokemon that got banned that are going to be very interesting. For example, the Wigglytuff, which is going to open up some teams as well, which you're going to see here today because it's so unique in terms of typing and what it can do as normal and fairy type Pokemon. We see Pokemon like Lapras, which is new and banned for this cup as well. We have Superior, which is going to give some other grass type Pokemon some play as well, which we're going to take a look at today. And then we have Pokemon like Morpeko or Talonflame that can be definitely very strong, especially if they have 2 shields for it. And Annihilape is going to be banned as the main fighting type Pokemon of the current meta. And even Pokemon like Credilli and Sableye are going to be banned. One Pokemon that's, for example, missing here, though, is, for example, Claydol, which is a Pokemon that gets a lot of hype recently. Claydol is a very, very strong Pokemon. And we're going to have definitely some teams here as well. But let's move right into the team number 1. We're going to see a team here that kind of got opened up by Wigglytuff being banned. We're going to have a team with the Corsola, the Primeape, as well as the Pangoro. You can use other Ghost-type Pokemon there in the lead as well, but this team is something that I actually played already in the Open Great League before and had great success with it, but of course every single time you would see a Wigglytuff, the game is already over, which made it a very, very risky team. This team is not as risky anymore. The one issue that might have might be the Tinkaton, but Tinkaton with your Ghost type you're going to be fine in the 2-shit scenario. With your Primeape, I would recommend you to go for close combat on it, which is going to be able to punish Tinkaton way harder than it would usually be able to. And you want to get out the Tinkaton anyway with a Primeape, as your Pangoro really doesn't want to face this Pokemon. And so I actually feel like this team has barely any counter. Honestly, I don't think there's really a Pokemon here that I would be totally scared of. Amoonguss could be a bit difficult, but you have also the Rage Fist spam. You're going to have the Night Slash spam with the Pangoro, where you even resist the fast move of the Amoonguss here. So I do think that this is one of the safest and strongest teams that you can run in ABB style line, but this team was already good in the Open Great League, and now it's going to be way, way better here because Wigglytuff is no longer available. Next up, we will take a look here at, again, mainly some meta Pokemon. You're going to see that quite a lot here as well. You're going to see basically what is the meta by the Pokemon that you're going to see in this video. There's going to be at the end of the video, by the way, stay tuned until this, also a very nice anti-meta team. Definitely stay tuned for this one. It's most likely one of the teams that I'm definitely going to try out as well. But let's take a look here at team number 2. Thievul, I recently made a video about this Pokemon in the Open Great League, and again, the main Charmer is going to be gone, making this Pokemon a very, very strong Pokemon for the Great League Remix Cup. Super underrated currently, very, very overpowered Pokemon. We have Grumpig, very cool as well, as a safe up here, especially like pairing it together with something like a Dark type. It's going to be very cool because Dark types are weak to Fighting type Pokemon, and the Grumpig is going to be able to counter them. But also Dark types are going to be good against other Psychic type Pokemon as well as Ghost type Pokemon. We still have the Shadow Ball on the Grumpig to counter those. Toxapex, of course, in the back here is just going to be our Poison type, which you kind of need to have with Dark type because they're just the 2 types that really fit together well. And so the only real issue for this team here is going to be actually Charger Bug, because it's going to have super effective coverage against all of the Pokemon. But I highly doubt the Charger Bug is going to be too common, but I could be wrong. I could see this Pokemon being like an anti-meta pick that people are going to start running while like the meta goes on a little bit. But in the beginning, yeah, I don't have a Charger Bug team here. I don't think that people are going to really think about Charger Bug either, but I do think that Charger Bug has quite some play as an anti-meta pick if you want to build a team around it. Next up, we're going to have a team here with the Tinkaton, and this is going to be inspired by my brother's rank 1 in the world team, and also by the team they had recently with Linoon, where we're going to have here basically a mix between those two. We have Tinkaton here, which actually wants to run Heavy Slam. We're going to take a look at why Linoon in the video as well. We're going to have Ferret as our Safe Swap, or the Linoon, depending on what you want to go for. Both of them are totally fine. And we're going to have the Jelson in the back. Jelson, kind of underrated. I do think that this Pokemon is going to have a lot of play, but I don't think that a lot of people are going to want to run this because there are so many Ghost and Dark type Pokemon that can pressure this Pokemon offensively. So yeah, still I do think that Jellicent Tinkaton core is one of the best cores that you can currently run. And yeah, third Linoon is just a nice glue in between. Again, you can also run Linoon here with the Thunder, but I feel like a lot of the targets for Thunder are kind of gone in this meta, so I would not really recommend it to you. I guess you have like Pokemon like Corviknight or the Tinkaton, which you're going to be able to hit a little bit better with that move, or also even like the Alolan Marowak, which I don't think is going to be super good, by the way, even though it's in the top meta. I don't have a team because I don't think this Pokemon has any play. But yeah, just that about Linoon. Next up, we're going to take a look here at the Tinkaton, which also going to have a nice combination together with other Dark-type Pokemon, because this Pokemon Tinkaton is also an anti-Fairy type, which is kind of funny because it's also a Fairy type. Anyway, as you can see here, this team is going to be really, really nice. Tinkaton is the only answer for this Tinkaton team, which seems kind of funny, where also kind of the Corviknight comes into play, because Corviknight might be the better lead for this team, allowing you to beat those Tinkaton a little bit easier. Maybe if you have Corviknight in the lead, you might struggle against some of the fighting type Pokemon, which is the main reason why I think that Tinkaton is generally better. As Haystop, Spiritomb, you can also use a ghost type Pokemon here, like for example the Dusclops. Like Spiritomb, Dusclops, or like Dusknoir actually, have very, very similar matchups a lot of times, even though they do quite different things, but they're still kind of very similar in the role that they can play. In the back, we're going to have here the Guslord or the Pangoro. Team number 5, we're going to have a Steel type lead. Steel types are actually kind of cool, and I really like the Thunder Fang Crunch Steelix. I think this Pokemon has a lot of play. Crunch is going to allow you to hit those Ghost type Pokemon for super effective damage, and it's not the recommended move. The recommended move is Breaking Swipe, which is going to help out against those Pangoros mainly, I would say. But I feel like Crunch is going to have way more play. Like literally, I do think this is going to be the better move to go for. I guess also Breaking Swipe helps against the Guslord. That makes sense. But yeah, we're going to have some Pokemon here to answer Guslord in the back as well, like the Fairy type Togetic, which I do think has a lot of play in this meta as well. Dusknoir here is going to be our Say Swap, going to be very strong with Astonish in the meta. You see already like the win rate of the Dusknoir looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, Togetic on the back, going to be an interesting Pokemon for sure here, because it's going to be very nice defensively, having good play against those fighting type Pokemon, and just generally has some very nice neutral play against a lot of the Pokemon in the meta. Team number 6, we're going to have a Greninja team, which is a bit difficult to build. We're going to have the Amoonguss as our Say-Swap with Astonish, as it's going to be able to counter the fighting type Pokemon, while still being very neutral against a lot of stuff, and just, yeah, being a very solid glue in between. We're going to have the Pokemon in the back here being the Claydol or the Togetic. Depends on what you kind of want to have. Do you want to have a grass type weakness? Then you're going to go for the Claydol. Do you want to have a electric type weakness? Then you're going to go for the Togetic. Like, that's the thing as well. There is always kind of a weakness for nearly all of the teams. I don't feel like you can counter the entire meta, even though 20 of the top meta Pokemon are banned. A lot of very good Pokemon are still left here, like Primeape, Pangoro, Corsair, Grumpig, Guslord, Diggersby, Jellicent. All of those Pokemon are absolutely top tier. Tinkaton would have been banned most likely if this Pokemon would have been out for a little bit longer already. So yeah, this is going to be a very strong team here to use for the Great League Remix Cup. Moving on, we're going to have Tropius here next. Tropius is going to be an interesting Pokemon as well, because the Jumpluff is going to be banned. Tropius isn't. Tropius and Jumpluff are very close at what they're doing. Jumpluff is a little bit more flexible, which is the main reason why this Pokemon is more used than Tropius, but it is very close between Tropius and Jumpluff. It's not like one is so much better than the other. It's definitely not the case. Tropius has better grass type damage, Jumpluff has better flying type damage. Even though we have Air Slash here on the Tropius, you're going to have Leaf Blade, which is such a hard hitting move and makes it such a cool meta Pokemon right now, destroying most of the current meta. I actually would recommend you, now thinking about it, to go for the Pangoro on the back, giving you a bit better answers against Pokemon like the Guslord, as well as also, yeah, Tinkaton, you do a little bit more damage with the close combat. You're going to be able to have a better matchup against Carbink. So I think that would be the better play here, to have the Pangoro on the back over Thievul. But both of them are going to be totally fine here, and Tropius is going to be a Pokemon that if you have it, you should use it for sure. Next up, we're going to have a bit of more toxic stuff coming up for the next two teams. We're going to have here teams with Carbink and the Bastiodon. The next team going to be also one with Carbink and Bastiodon. But here I kind of want to highlight on the niche that Meganium kind of fills in, because all of a sudden Meganium actually has some play again. What is the reason for this? Of course, Superior got banned, which would have been the better Meganium, but also you have Earthquake as coverage, which is going to allow you to hit the Tinkaton for super effective damage, which is already a plus, I would say. But also, you are going to have a pure grass type, which for example the Venusaur doesn't have, which allows you to take hits better from the Grumpig, making this Pokemon a top core breaker for the current meta, and definitely Pokemon I want to showcase for the Great League Remix Cup, because I saw people actually asking me already to showcase Meganium in the Open Great League, but in the Remix Cup, this Pokemon looks like an absolute meta breaker, and I do think it's going to be a fun Pokemon to run. So for sure, something to look out for, like Meganium, going to be top tier. Here, difficult for the team, Tinkaton, if they run the Heavy Slam for sure. But you can also use the Bastion on the lead, which also kind of, yeah, then destroys the other issue for this team, which is going to be the Toxapex. But Tinkaton, like the Carbing is kind of cool in a lot of different matchups here. So like it depends, like both Carbing as well as Bastion are kind of really good. Both, like it's kind of similar, but let's take a look on how good actually the Bastion performs for the next team. We're going to have here a team with a Grumpig as a safe stop, as well as the Medicham. Medicham actually has quite a lot of play here, with a lot of Dark types around, a lot of Fairy type around. This Pokemon actually has some sort of play, and here we see Bastion in the matchups that this Pokemon can win. And as we will see, they're going to be just two Pokemon. They're going to be a bit more tricky. Grumpig as like the opponent's part, because they're going to have Shadow Ball and the Dynamic Punch. Shadow Ball super effective against Medicham. Dynamic Punch double super effective against Bastion. Or the Jellicent, which is going to be able to do super effective damage against the entire team. If you don't encounter those Pokemon, I think this team here is really, really cool. I think there's a lot of play. Do I think that a lot of people are going to run this? Most likely not, but I do kind of want to highlight that Medicham has actually a lot of play, and together with the Grumpig, it's a very cool backline, as they do like very similar stuff, but Grumpig is very safe and has some fast move pressure, while Medicham has more charge move pressure, and yeah, with Step Dynamic Punch has a cool niche in the current meta. Moving on to the anti-meta team here, and we're going to see that we're going to have Magcargo, we're going to have Whimsicott in the back, and we're going to have Spiritomb, but also Leavenny has some play. The only issue for this is going to be Calming Bastion. I'm not too sure on how common those two Pokemon are. Yes, we had just had two teams with that. If you want to run Bastion in the lead, of course, you kind of mitigate this issue, but then you're going to have, like Magcargo is really, really cool right now. Like, Magcargo is such a cool Pokemon to run, because you're going to have, like, the Rock Tomb is so much faster nowadays. And yes, you're going to have the weakness to the Fighting type Pokemon, but even Leavenny would be an interesting shout. But look at Magcargo plus Whimsicott core. Like, those are two anti-mana Pokemon, not really used, and there's barely anything that can beat those together. And then just about the glue that you put in between. And so here, I could see Leavenny actually having a lot of play, because it's going to be better against Gusload as well. And just having the resistance to fighting is going to be cool, and the speed is going to be cool. So yeah, I do think that this team is going to be a lot of fun. I do think it's going to be a team that I'm going to try to showcase as well. But this is the anti-meta team for this meta. So, are you going to play the Open Great League? Are you going to play the Great League Remix Cup? Let me know down below. I most likely going to play both. And yeah, this concludes for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I will see you then. Bye bye.